Good morning, grade 7 students. I am your teacher for today, and I am giving you an idea on what is interpersonal communication. And like what the millennial says, arat na! Interpersonal communication is exchanging of information, ideas, feelings between two or more people through verbal or non-verbal methods. Class, we have an activity for today. I will show you pictures and you will identify if it is a good conversation or bad conversation. Correct! Correct! Very good! Very good! Correct! To have a good conversation to others, I will explain to you the effective interpersonal communication strategies that you will use for your daily lives. Number 1 is making effective communication decisions. And the first example is being assertive, because being strong provides you the best opportunity of getting your point. The next example is observe courtesy. You should show respect to the person with whom you are talking with by communicating courteously. The last example is make it relevant. When your conversation is about education, your topic that you share is also about education, not online games. Number 2, making introductions. When you had a conversation with your friend and with your cousin, you need to introduce your cousin to your friend. Like, she is my cousin. She also wants to be your friend too. Number 3, telephone conversation. In telephone conversation, you need to speak clearly and get to the message. And you also need to respect the caller's time. In last example, it is active listening. In active listening, you need to make an eye contact and you need to listen carefully and sincerely. And you also need to speak and smile just to show our respect to the speaker. Class, I will give you a tips to be an effective interpersonal communicator. The first tip is avoid negative body language, because when you had a conversation with other person, you need to avoid moving every time because it will distract the person you are talking with. Number 2, refrain from interrupting the other person, because when you interrupt the person who are talking, you will show an unrespectful behavior. Number 3, think before you speak, like think before you click. In these tips, it will help you to avoid hurting someone or offend the person you are talking with. Number 4, listen well. You need to listen just to respond and to show that you have an interest on what the topic that the speaker says. The last tips is be neutral. You need to be in the middle if there's some discourse, so no one will be favorable. Grade 7 students, I will show you a video for you to clearly understand our topic interpersonal communication.
We evolve in a world where we are able to interact with people very easily, but where communication is often a source of misunderstanding and conflicts. What can we do to improve our communication and make sure our message is understood by others? We use what we call interpersonal communication. Interpersonal communication is the process of exchanging information, ideas, feelings, and meaning between two or more people through verbal and/or nonverbal methods. It is important to understand that there is a sender and a receiver, and that their activity creates a meaning, a message. To analyze it, it's also important to study the quality of the message. In fact, the interpersonal communication is successful when the message is correctly transferred and understood by the receiver. Apart from the words themselves, the gesture, the voice, the tone, the rhythm, the appearance are factors that must be taken into account to optimize the communication. Interpersonal communication goes further than a simple message. It's also a way to create lasting and successful relationships. This is why it cannot be underestimated and must be mastered, as we always need it to improve our relationship. But concretely, how do we implement it in our life? Step 1, know yourself. Self-awareness means being consciously aware of what you're thinking and feeling and why you're doing so. If you are angry in the middle of a negotiation, it's important to realize what you feel in order to avoid ruining the meeting and shouting to your interlocutor. A lack of self-awareness can be detrimental to the success and productivity of your relationship. Step 2, be conscious and respectful. Everyone is entitled to their own thoughts and opinion, even if they differ from yours. Wait until they finish and respond to express your thoughts on the topic in a non-confrontational way. Step 3, be active listeners. Listening is the key in any discussion. How are you supposed to answer a question if you don't listen to it or understand half of it? From a very practical point of view, how do you make sure you optimize the listening? First, create some brief but productive silence. Second, use open question rather than closed question. Third, adopt a behavior that you want the other to adopt to create a positive and sharing atmosphere. Step 4, don't ever interrupt someone. It's very easy to do so, but it's perceived as a sign that you're not listening, and it serves poorly the message you want to convey. Allow the person to finish their thought and do not presume to know what they want to say. Step 5, say yes when you want to say no. Even if you cannot say yes, showing that you understand the point that was made is much more productive than a no given alone after an explanation or a question. It creates a positive mindset and allows you to keep moving on.
So grade 7 students, I know that you understand what is interpersonal communication. So we have a learning test. I will read the question and you will choose the correct answer. So let's start. Question number 1. It is the process of exchange of information, ideas, and feelings between two or more people through verbal or non-verbal methods. Letter A, communication. Letter B, interpersonal communication. And letter C, intrapersonal communication. Question number 2. When you are just communicating with yourself, it is letter A, communication. Letter B, interpersonal communication. Letter C, intrapersonal communication. Question number 3. Your friend is speaking, and to show that you understand, you should A, give nonverbal communication cues. Letter B, react in a negative way. And letter C, always give comments. Question number 4. Someone who works well in a group must do the following except letter A, interrupt gently. Letter B, create conflict to make the decision interesting. And letter C, provide inputs and takes the ideas of others in the group. The last question, number 5. What is the tips to be an effective interpersonal communicator? A, active listening. B, be assertive. C, be neutral. Assignment. 7 students, thank you for listening and don't forget to follow the health protocol. Be safe!